If you are a Nigerian abroad and you desire to invest back in Nigeria, in real estate in Nigeria, then this video is a must watch for you because I share 5 practical steps that you must take when you are investing back home to avoid getting scammed. Yes, I know that you have heard quite a number of stories and you are wondering, how can I navigate all this? No problem. In this video, I will share 5 crucial tips, and these tips are practical tips from my working with different kinds of real estate investors. I have helped a number of investors own scam-free real estate property in Nigeria worth billions of naira. So trust me, this is practical information you are getting. Buckle up and get set for the ride. Now, the first thing is that you have to know about this real estate you want to invest in. That's the first thing. And this cuts across every other type of investment. If you invest in other types of assets, ensure you have knowledge. You cannot go into any type of investment without knowing the basic things about investment. You will find a lot of helpful information on this channel that would help you resolve the issue of knowledge. But let me share 3 very important things you must know about real estate. First is that real estate is fixed, and whilst this is an advantage, it also has a disadvantage. So let me explain the advantage to you. Is that because it is fixed, it is not something that should easily be stolen, and I'll explain why I said should. Because I mean, if I buy a car, I'm going to drive it out of the showroom and take it to my house. If you buy a house, you cannot carry the house with you. It's going to remain on that same spot. It's going to be there forever, barring any natural disaster, earthquakes and all. But at the same time, because it is fixed, and for instance, if you buy land, it's easy. The disadvantage type is that it's easy for a piece of land to be sold to more than one person. Why? Because if you're not staying on a property, when you have left, if the people who sold to you are unscrupulous elements and are dishonest, they could take other people to the land and then they could go ahead and sell again. So you see that whilst it has an advantage, it also has the other side. But of course, there's always a way to go about fixing that. Now, the second thing is that real estate is regulated by law. All right. So we have the Land Use Act as the ground norm that regulates land all over Nigeria, and it applies in all the states of the federation. We also have, each state has laws and policies that guide real estate. So real estate is regulated by law. If you want to deal in real estate, you really have to understand how it works. And the third is that do it yourself. Doesn't work for real estate. So I'm a mom, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a wife, and I love to do some things by myself. But there's some things that you cannot do by yourself, and this is part of, and real estate is part of it. And even for me, as an experienced real estate lawyer with over 16 years experience, for my own personal real estate investments, it takes a team. Yes, it takes a team. So you need a team of professionals to work with you. You need agents, you need a lawyer, you need a surveyor, So it's very important that you have to bear that in mind when you are going into real estate. And the last but not the least is that real estate is expensive. Real estate is not cheap. I'll give you an explanation for that. If you want to buy a property, for instance, you want to buy a house and the cost of the house is 200 million naira. Yes, I would explain why I said real estate is expensive and not cheap by giving you this practical example. So you want to buy a house and the house costs 200 million. The truth is that you are not going to be spending through that 200 million to become the owner of that house. You would have to budget like a quarter, 1/4 or 1/5 of that amount for other expenses that you would have to incur that would make you the proper owner of that property. So you see, real estate is one of the most expensive asset classes that you could invest in. It's not cheap. It comes with a lot of added expenses. I'll leave a link in the description box to a video where I explain in details about that. So that is the first thing you should note as a Nigerian in diaspora investing in real estate in Nigeria and who wants to avoid getting scammed. Now, the second thing, and this is location, and this is a very big issue for Nigerians in diaspora, because I've gotten quite a number of people reach out to me and they will say, oh, I was told to I want to buy a property and it's at Abraham Soya. I was told it's 5 minutes drive from Lekki Phase 1. And of course, now if you're familiar with that axis, you know that even if there's no traffic, it's not 5 minutes. So maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, okay? Now, you want to be sure about the location of where you're buying. So I understand if you're in diaspora, it might be difficult for you to come and be looking around for property. So usually what happens is maybe you are getting a trusted family member, a friend, you're getting an agent to help you go around looking for the property. Now, when they reach back to you to say, oh, we found this property for you, you want to ensure that you get the specifics of the location so that you do not think that you are buying property in a certain area, meanwhile it is actually in another area. So you're not surprised. Yes, that's the word. Now you want to ensure, you want to get the people who are doing this search for you to do a video tour. All right, it really helps so that you can really see the location of the land or the building you are buying. And technology has made things so easy. For instance, I had a client who wanted to buy a property in a certain area. Now, although he had his family member involved and his agent, and he had an agent, but he wanted a neutral person to go to the place. He wanted to see how the entrance to the land looked like. He was inside an estate. He wanted to see how the estate looked like, how the surroundings looked like, and he wanted a neutral person. So he had reached out to us, and we had gotten a member of our team to go and take videos of how the place looks. So by the time we sent the video to him, he had a very clear idea of, okay, the land I want to buy, this is how the environment looks like. This is how the road to the place looked like. He wanted to know where the place was flooded, and thankfully, because it was in rainy season, it was easy to see, okay, this place isn't so flooded, So you want to do that. You can also utilize Google Maps, okay? Technology has made things so easy to pinpoint where exactly are you buying the property. So that, for instance, if you think that you want to buy a property that is close to Lekki Phase 1 and you're able to give you the exact location, you can check on Google Maps and see the distance, okay? Technology is here to make our lives better, and definitely it's one of the greatest things that we enjoy in this 21st century. So it's very important. So what we could work with an agent, work with the lawyer, or get a trusted person to ascertain the location. At my law firm, we have agents that we work with who can help you just go and take videos of the location. So you want to ensure that you get someone to do that. Get someone who is trusted. Could be a family member, could be a friend or something. All right, that is one thing that you do not want to miss at all as a Nigerian in diaspora investing back home. Now, the third is you have to ask questions. And I would take my reason for this from a popular Yoruba saying. So I'm a Yoruba woman from the southwestern part of Nigeria, and we have a saying in Yoruba that says that if you ask, you won't miss the road. And it applies to real estate. Ask questions. As a matter of fact, if you are asking questions and not getting answers, you might want to look at the situation critically and decide, do you want to really continue with this? So what are the questions that you should ask? Who is the owner of this property? Very important. I remember a while ago, a client had engaged us to do due diligence on the property, and as part of the process, we'll send you a form to ask questions from the agent, because usually, most times you would have to go through an agent and say, okay, so who is the owner of this property? So we sent this questionnaire, and up to now we didn't get an answer. They could not satisfactorily provide any information as to the owner of the property. And definitely, it is a person who owns the property. A person, if it's a natural person, if it's a company, an organization, group of people. It is those in whom legal ownership resides that can transfer ownership to you. So if you're talking to someone who doesn't have ownership of that property, you might just be wasting precious time. And of course, I hope you do not go ahead and waste your money by paying to someone who doesn't own the property. The second question will be, how did the person become the owner? Was he inherited? Did the person buy it? Was he a gift? Was he allocated from government? These are the questions you should ask, okay? What is the proof? You have to ask for proof. And what exactly is the property in question? Yes. So we've had instances where people would provide proof that doesn't belong to the property they want to sell. And that's why the due diligence stage is very key. We will still get to that. Is point number 4. But these questions, they have to be answered, and many more. Let me drop another last question, and this is very crucial. If you're buying buildings, you're buying an already existing structure, especially in Lagos State, you want to ask if there's a building approval, a building permit, where the necessary permits sought and obtained. Because remember what I said about real estate being regulated by law. Trust me, with all the expenses that you would incur when you're buying real estate, you really don't want to get into trouble with the government. Okay, so you want to also ensure that it's a building approval, very important and very crucial. And this is not just Lagos State, even for every other part of Nigeria where you are buying land. So you want to ask that question. Yes, and number 4 is verify the property. Remember, I said when you ask the questions, you want to verify. You cannot just take any answer you are given at face value. There's got to be verification, and it has to be verified. And I'll give you an example. I've worked with quite a number of clients, so you will see that I have quite a number of examples. So a doctor had reached out to us from US, and he wanted to buy this land. And so as part of our usual due diligence process, we had asked him to forward a questionnaire to him today, to give to the agent to provide the information about the property. So the agent had said, oh, this land is owned by so and so family, and it was excised back to them by the government. Now, when land is excised back to a family or a community, it's published in a gazette. I'll leave a link in the description box below about excision and gazette so that you can understand better what I mean. So we asked, okay, so what are the details of this gazette? Remember when I said that you don't take every information you are given at face value, but that you have to verify it. And trust me, up till today, I'm talking about 3-4 years ago, the person has not produced the details of the gazette. So how then are we even sure that the property was actually excised? So that's why it's important that you verify, okay? Now, when you are doing due diligence, you work with a professional real estate lawyer. At my law firm, it's part of one of our best-selling services that we offer. And when we are doing due diligence, we work with a team of lawyers and surveyors to verify the ownership of the property, verify the location of the property, verify the building approval if it is a building, verify that the land is not under government acquisition, review all the seller's documents and information, conduct the necessary searches at the relevant registry to ensure that, okay, this property you want to buy doesn't have any legal issues or not. So it's very important that you do not skip this process, okay? Because that is how you can be sure that, okay, I'm putting my money to good use and I'm not losing my money to a scam. Let me quickly give you another example and then we'll move on to the next point. So I had a client who had also reached out from another country, not in Nigeria, and she wanted to buy a property. I won't tell us the location for confidentiality reason, but she was buying the property from someone who had done an off-plan arrangement from the developer. So let me say the name of the developer is developer ABC, and the developer has sold it to Mr. XYZ, and our client, Mrs. DEF, wants to buy from Mr. XYZ. So now this is how the transaction had gone before. The developer had an arrangement with Mr. XYZ saying, we'll build this property over this period of time. You will pay this amount over this period of time. And when the building is completed, you become the owner. However, the developer and the man could not provide us any documents stating the terms of that arrangement. It was just, they had an offer letter, and pretty much that was it. There was no contract between the two parties. So when we were doing due diligence, when our client engaged us to do the due diligence, we had to do due diligence on the title of the property. Does the person want to sell to us actually have ownership of the property? Or does the company, the developer, even has ownership of the property? We could not prove either of these two questions. And even when we reached out to the company again, we discovered that the company no longer was in existence. There were a lot of red flags in that transaction. And of course, at the end of our findings, we had to write a report to our clients, letting her know these are the things we found out. This transaction does not look exactly clear, because it's like you're buying property that you're not sure of. You're not sure of who owns the property. The person who wants to sell to you cannot prove that he or she owns that property, and it was a quite dicey one. It wasn't an advisable investment. So that is what typically the process of due diligence entails. Now, when you now finish doing that, if you have done the due diligence and the report comes out positive, that's when you can now proceed to buying the property and making payments. So you want to ensure that you're paying into an account. Of course, there's got to be paper trail. There's got to be paper trail. You want to pay into an account, and you want to ensure, because I've also had instances like this where the name of the owner was different from the name on the account that we were told to pay to. And of course, we had to ask questions. Why? What's the relationship? Why should we pay? Because you want to be extremely careful. You want to make sure you're paying into the right party. So at this point, I hope that if you're in diaspora, you could come over to Nigeria to close the transaction. But if you cannot come over, you could have someone, a trusted family member, a trusted friend, someone do that for you and represent you at the closing. All right. And I always advise my clients that when you're making payments, ensure that your documentation is done by your lawyer and it's signed. So typically, I usually advise that the closing, the payments and the documentations signing should, as much as possible, be around the same time, so that you're not having to run after maybe the developer or the seller to get them to sign, because maybe they actually just quickly traveled for vacation or something. So I always advise that. So I get this question from our clients in diaspora who say, oh, I won't be available to sign. I'll get my family to come and represent me, and then I can do the transfer from over there. But how can I get to sign? So I usually do not advise that you should sign electronically. I mean, real estate is expensive. Real estate is usually quite a huge investment. So it's okay for the seller to sign on the day that the closing is done. The seller signs, the witness signs. Your lawyer would guide on how all this should be done. And then your lawyer could arrange for the documents to be sent to you via courier. So you then sign and then you courier it back. You have your own copy. The lawyer sends the seller's copy and everybody is happy. Okay, so that's typically how I usually get it done for my clients in diaspora, and that's what I would advise that you do to ensure that everything goes on smoothly. So at this point you are now the proud owner of a property. And point number 5. Okay, this should actually be number 6. This is a bonus point, but nevertheless very important, and that you should take possession of the property. If it is a house, it's simple. You want to collect the keys, so you have the keys to the property, you have access to the property. If it is land, so land can be dicey. It depends on where the land is, and here are some ways you can use to take possession. If you're buying land and it's in an estate, then typically you want to maybe do corner piece around it. If you're not ready to develop immediately, you just want to do a corner piece, get your surveyor to draw out a survey in your own name, and then you could with time develop the property. But if it is an open area, so that would now inform your decision. If it is an open area and you are not ready to develop immediately, you want to build a short fence around it. You want to introduce yourself to your neighbors so they know, oh, this is my face, this is my phone number, I am the owner. If you see anyone who comes around their land, strange faces, I would appreciate if you could give me a call. So you want to make friends with your neighbors until you can, so they can do that until you can. Now you don't want to develop, or you want to build something small on it. If you're developing immediately, fine and good. Okay, so that is how it works because taking physical possession of a property when you buy it is very key. Remember, I talked about real estate being fixed and that it makes it prone to people easily selling one property to one or more people. So these are practical ways that you can deal with that so-called disadvantage. If you have any questions, feel free to type them in the comment section below under this video, and I'll be glad to answer your question. If you would want to book a consultation session with me, there's a link also in the description box below. You would find the link to book a paid consultation session with me. And these are some reviews from real people from our Google My Business page of reviews of our clients who have worked with me and my team at Caris Legal Practice. I would also leave the link to our website below, so you can go ahead and check them out, and you would find what people have to say about us. So we offer our services real estate services for properties worth 20 million and above. If you would like to work with me and my team, you can click the link in the description box below. Thank you for watching, and make sure to subscribe to this channel. I've got a lot of helpful information. Feel free to go ahead and check the helpful videos I have posted in the description under this video. They would help your real estate journey. Have a wonderful time. Thank you.